Hello and welcome to Let's Be Real. We are on our 93rd episode. Yes, I know I have said that before in another episode. I got that completely wrong, but officially our 93rd episode here as we count down to our final episode, which will be our 100th one. So we got about 7 more episodes to go now. So things are getting close to the finish line. But we have some great topics to talk about today. I'm joined by Kyan and Nayan. How are we doing, boys?
Good, man. Good.
All good, G.
All good. Very nice, very nice. On today's episode, we are going to be doing some quickfire stuff. And that will include the Shrek 5 teaser, Kathleen Kennedy news, Amazon James Bond, Nolan and James Bond, IMAX and Netflix's Narnia movie, Martin Scorsese's new movie, the Superman movie, and the HBO reboot series of Harry Potter. Oh, and Inside Out 3 as well. And then we're going to be finishing off with our kind of big topic, our main topic for this episode, and that is our little game we love to play, Oscars every single year. That's will win, could win, and should win, where we say what will win, what could win, and what should win. Pretty self-explanatory there for this Oscars that are coming in a couple of days' time. Before we start, boys, anything interesting that we've watched recently? And maybe spoilers for our big topic ahead, but anything interesting out of the blue?
Well, we're all watching Severance.
Absolutely, we are.
Yeah, and we're loving it.
Absolutely loving it.
Yeah, it's keeping that quality going. I'm really only keeping up with that. I'm watching Invincible, which is I'm not enjoying.
Season 3?
Yes.
It's kind of lost its...
Yeah, I'm starting to see the flaws in it to the extent... I feel like it's the kind of series... It's a weird example, but I feel like it's trying to be Rick and Morty.
Really?
Yeah, in the sense that it's trying to be this like flavor of the day thing. And then there's like these like really like impactful emotional episodes. And then it like goes back to being sort of like flavor of the day, sort of like random villain.
Interesting.
And it can never tie anything together properly, and it can never really get the drama down, and it can never get the comedic timing down. There's a lot of like weird, awkward silences between like someone saying something, and they'll be like, "What do you mean?" Yeah. Oh, I don't mean, you know. And there's like it's like this weird, awkward silence between like words. Yeah, I just feel like I can't sit down and enjoy it without like every say like 10 minutes feeling like a critique is coming in.
Right.
And it's like, man, I really just want to sit here and enjoy this.
Yeah. I know what that's like. I mean, yeah, Rick and Morty was kind of like that. Started really strong, and these later seasons haven't been up to par with what we had initially.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. And I've also been watching another animated show called, bear with me here.
You have to look it up. You have been watching it.
I know. It's common side effects. Common side effects. I was trying to think of like, what is that weird word, but it's called common side effects. It's just about this like mushroom that can like heal anything.
I want to watch that now.
Yeah.
That sounds interesting. Yeah. Such a random plot.
But yeah, it's kind of interesting. Other than that, what about you guys? What have you been watching?
Me, nothing much really, just the Oscar stuff.
Yeah.
Watching a fantastic 3 fights in 9 seconds. Shout out to Canada and USA ice hockey teams. That was the most entertaining thing to watch I've ever seen. But no, nothing much. I watched Gladiator the other day. Thanks, James, for chucking cats in that. Fuck you.
Do you know where the disc is now? We'll get to that later. We'll get that to that off potty.
See, the thing is that you can just leave and I can just open up the cat, see what DVD's on there, and then just go and change it.
Soon I'll be here full time. You won't be able to do anything.
Yeah.
So sorry about that, buddy.
Oh, you're not moving on. But yeah, besides that, so I'll probably watch Gladiator 2 at some point, and then sports season properly starts for me tomorrow. So I'll just be getting into sports and probably laying off on the movies and stuff a bit.
Yeah. Well, that's when kind of screening season starts to come through anyway, so everything kind of lines up perfectly for us.
Yeah.
As for me, what have I really been watching? I've started that like Court of Gold series. It's about like the basketball Olympics Netflix series. Obviously got Drive to Survive coming up in a week's time.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Damn. Oh, yeah, it's March.
March 7th, man. Yeah. And obviously I'll be watching the F1 season from then on out as well. And then I watched Back to the Future the other night.
Oh.
Nays go.
One of Nayan's favorite movies of all time. Me and the girlfriend, we just wanted a movie to watch, and we went through so much like different options, and then we thought that one was the perfect. Oh, I thought that one was the perfect blend of like really great, but also just kind of like you can kind of sit back, turn your brain off, and watch it, and just enjoy it for what it is.
Yeah.
And it really was that. I mean, I love getting into that movie. It's so good. And it just kind of shows that Spielberg's the master. Like, I pick up on new things every single time. Yes. Okay, but we're going to move on now. And we're going to move on to Shrek 5. One of the great things about this podcast is that it's ending soon. And I say that because we won't be doing most anticipated movies anymore, which means that Nayan won't be cursing movies to hell. The Nay curse will officially be over. And what I mean for new listeners or someone that doesn't know this, the Nay curse is in his list of top 10 most anticipated. There are just some that they're put into the movie gods hate them, and they're just the worst pieces of shit in the world. Shrek 5 looks to be a candidate, early candidate for 2026.
In my defense, we did that list a year early, so technically it should have been done at the end of this year, and it wouldn't have been so high. So
I mean, and technically, if you go back to I don't know if we had a potty discussion about this, but I probably had strong opinions on Shrek 5 not being great.
No, yeah, you guys both went into like a little like tangent about how like I think Nan was like DreamWorks is on a roll, and then you were like, no, it's more about like the director and his vision. And I mean, it looks like you were correct in this one based on that teaser. But
hey, hey, they can do a Sonic and change it, so shut up.
They can if they do.
In any case, Shrek 5 looks to be a candidate of Nayan's bad luck with when it comes to most anticipated.
I like how Shrek 5 is just being blamed on you.
Yeah, I know, it's just the dumbest thing is that this was on all of our fucking
But
most
who had it
anticipated.
highest?
Yeah, exactly. That's the
There
only
we
thing.
go.
Because I'm a true Shrek fan. Back
All right,
my boy.
Nayan, this question will be directed at you first. I want to hear your thoughts first. Shrek 5 teaser came out. It obviously comes out a year and like 9 months from now. Zendaya is casted as Shrek's daughter. What are your thoughts on it?
First of all, no one cares about Zendaya after that trailer. Like, I have not seen a single thing about, oh yeah, Zendaya's in this, she's going to be the savior. Or, oh no, Zendaya's in this. No, it's all been about the animation style, and that is the key thing here, is that it just looks like garbage. It looks like someone went on to ChatGPT or Gronk or whatever the fuck it is, and typed in, oh, can you redesign Shrek for me for the modern age and make it as like kid animated as possible, 5 years and under, blah, 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 blah. Boom, and this is what we got. It doesn't, like, Donkey doesn't even look like Donkey. He looks less of a donkey than Donkey. You know, like, he looks like, this looks like as if Illumination has animated this, but it's just under DreamWorks. You know, it's just so bad, like the big ass eyes and the big ass pupils. But if you go and look at the OG stuff, it's like, it's hard to say, it's not real features, but it's like, you know, it's more detailed. It's not just like the round.
I would say it's more. I would say it's expressive in a different way. It's really hard to describe. I mean, clearly the animation is not as good in the past.
Yeah.
Because you're working with like lower detail, lower polygon count in general. You when you look at the older Shrek movies, you can actually see the texture detail is not as good.
Yeah.
And that's okay because it's really a product of its time. But what they lack in that texture detail and those sorts of things, they make up for in a sort of, I don't know, a sort of movement of the characters that feel a very specific way. And this very specific way, you don't detect any of it in this new animation. Like, this new animation feels like it feels alien to what it was.
Yeah.
And I can understand that. I can understand changing things. Like, you know, there's been universal applause for Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. And it's a fundamentally different animation style. Like, it's not just different.
Yeah.
It is, like, night and day different in terms of style and concept and execution. Like, everything about it is different.
Yeah.
It's like low frame rate, you know, like everyone calls it Spider-Verse animation, and yeah, absolutely it is inspired by that. But the problem with this is that this new version of it seems to be inspired by a modern interpretation of animation that doesn't align with what people would see as Shrek animation. You know, Shrek animation is it's almost its own thing. And that's what I think that they needed to do. They needed to do Shrek animation with just a little bit more detail.
Yeah.
Instead, we got a different animation style.
I think Shrek is so embedded in terms of like pop culture. It's really it's one of the top 3, top 2 perhaps in terms of animated like IP pop culture in terms of the popularity and the well-knownness of it. Puss in Boots can get away with a quick, animation style change because it's not well known and people are more, I guess, open to things that aren't so embedded in their own nostalgia of that property.
That's a really good point. Yeah.
But I mean, I want to bring it back to another one that's in like one of the most popular animated IPs, and that's Toy Story. Toy Story started at the very beginning of computer animation, and look how it's progressed. There's been no complaints along the way, but it's gotten so like detailed. But it kept the designs of those characters.
Correct, yeah.
And I don't think you can change the animation style. I just think it really takes away. I think it takes away from the character, because when first of all, the teaser's just awful. Like, it opens with that kind of like...
Sorry, can I just say, I don't think that's a trailer and I don't think it's a teaser. What I think that is, in its most purest sense, an advertisement.
Well,
that's what it is. It's just an advertisement to keep people interested.
A fun fact about that teaser was meant to release in December, but Zendaya's casting news got leaked, so they felt like they had to release it straight away.
Wait, so it was meant to release last year?
No. This upcoming December.
Wow.
Yeah, but
that's a huge push
But her
forward.
casting got leaked, so they felt like they had to do it all in kind of one
Why not
big
just
thing.
announce a casting that she's in it? That's so stupid.
I don't
Rather than
know.
release it. Holy fuck that. They are dumbasses, eh?
But the teaser itself is bad. Like opening with this kind of like TikTok mirror thing, and then it turns to them. And then my first reaction, because I'm opening this at 6:30 a.m. when I wake up in the morning, and I'm going through like the notifications of Twitter, and I see like Shrek teaser. I'm like, oh my goodness, okay, I'm so excited. I pop out of bed, I watch it, and then it turns around to them, and I'm like, oh my god, like. I couldn't guess it at first, but like they just felt so off. It didn't feel like Shrek and Donkey. It just felt completely different.
Sorry, before you go into your point, the dumbest thing about this whole teaser is that when they're doing the whole TikTok thing, they have the OG Shrek's animation like on the mirror on like a buff guy, and then it turns to the new animation. So it's like they did the old animation, and then the new animation. It's like, what?
Yeah, it's just weird, and I think with a property like Shrek, you can't like mess too much with it because you're going to affect the nostalgia. The nostalgia is the biggest selling point for this film. You cannot ruin it for people. This needs a Sonic reimagination, if you will, where they change it. They have to change it, and they have plenty of time to do it.
Upon hearing that actually gives me a little bit more hope that they can make those changes because if it is this early, which seems to be that early, this was meant to release in December. That's like 9 months from now.
I know.
That's crazy amount of time in terms of animation. And it's like, they went to release a teaser 9 months from now. Like this wouldn't have actually been ready until at best, like late 2026. For release. Yeah. So I think that it's good news that they could potentially make some changes.
I hope that they do. Yeah, I really just wanted the Toy Story effect with this in terms of the animation styles. Like just the same style and the same design for the characters, but just a lot more detail.
100%, 100%. The unfortunate reality is that you're not going to change the director. You're not going to change the writer. And ultimately, for me at least, what I feel is that you need someone in there that is capable of creating something, writing and directing that is able to keep up with the times in a way that doesn't just feel like, oh yeah, this is with the times, but it actually feels like authentic to the times.
Yeah.
Like, seeing this whole like TikTok thing, like I don't mind seeing like TikTok references and stuff in modern films because it's a major part of our current modern culture. But it has to be done in a way that feels organic to Shrek because Shrek is very, very, very self-aware. To the point of like absurdity.
Yeah,
that's what it is. It's absurdist self-awareness in terms of its satire, or I mean, even if you could call it satire, it's really what it is. It's parody. It's parody of like anything pop culture.
Yeah.
And I just, I would have much preferred to see a teaser that poked fun at what animation style it was even choosing. If it was going Puss in Boots or old or new or, like some just tongue in cheek.
Yeah.
Maybe something like that. At least that would have given us some like sort of alleviation of what it is we're feeling.
Yeah, 'cause, I mean, it's like beyond the animation style for me. It's the fact that this is being set up to be, a father-daughter movie, and I feel like we've seen that far too much times in animation. So, we're gonna see where this franchise goes. It's been a long time since Shrek 4 has come around, which was a dreadful movie. I don't know if Shrek 5 can save it, like based off that teaser. But yeah, we all love Shrek, and we hope that it gets the kind of treatment that it deserves. We don't want the franchise to go down because the franchise that has gone down that we all know is Star Wars. Star Wars has gotten to a place where I did not believe such a iconic piece of film history could go. From being one of the most renowned, iconic, most loved pop cultural, property in the world. It's we can say it's at its weakest point it's ever been, and it's been on a downward trajectory ever since 2015.
I would say after because Force Awakens was good. Everyone's hyped about that.
Rogue One, 2016.
2016 was probably there, and then it really kicked in The Last Jedi.
Yeah, we'll say that. The person at the helm of this has been Kathleen Kennedy, as seen in South Park. If you guys have seen that episode, have you guys seen?
I have. Yes, I have. Yeah.
I love that stuff. But yeah, no, Kathleen Kennedy has been at the helm of Lucasfilm ever since it went from into Disney's control. And Kathleen Kennedy is stepping down from Lucasfilm, and someone else will be helming it. So, do you think Star Wars can get back to its relevance that it was beforehand?
No.
So it's a franchise that's like its reputation is tarnished in a forever kind of state, or
the problem isn't the franchise. The problem is Disney, and it's ingrained within Disney. Disney has a culture to it now, and I say now quite specifically because it didn't used to be that way. I don't mean to be like back in the old days it used to be great. What I mean more by that is that there used to be a far greater emphasis put on the art of production in a movie than what it is now. And now everything is statistical in terms of what it can produce, which is a shame because when everything is statified, you lose the ambiguity and you become a lot more like regimented in how you structure a movie and regimented in how you structure a story or a narrative.
Yeah.
Which is a shame because everything ends up being the same, which is what we're seeing nowadays.
Yeah.
Right? Because now they understand, well, when you make it this way, you make more money. And I think that with this, Disney itself is the problem because it's a company. It knows what makes money. And really, Kathleen Kennedy, all she is she's a face to that apparatus. She's really like, people will say Kathleen Kennedy is the problem.
Yeah.
Right. She's what caused X, Y, and Z to fail. And it's like, what you don't understand is that not just Disney has been doing this, all the studios have been doing this to some extent.
Yeah.
Some less than others, some more than others. But Disney is probably like the most like obvious contender for like issues.
Yeah. I've rebutted it. Sorry to interrupt.
Sure.
Do you think that Star Wars is held to a higher standard, that it should be kind of matching the MCU's kind of, I guess, content machine and quality as well? Because we're not seeing that with Star Wars. Like, everything that comes out, it's a lot more stuff than what we used to have, but they're all bad.
Yeah.
So, Is Star Wars held to an unfair standard in this case? Because both are owned by Disney, sorry.
I think that the fact that it is being even compared to the MCU is an example that it has been reduced to that level. Like, it's sad that it has been reduced to that level. I think in reality, like, in a perfect world, Star Wars would be so above the MCU that this wouldn't even be a question you would be asking.
That's true.
I think that the problem is that Star Wars has degraded to the point now that it's being like, is it comparable to the MCU? It's like, yeah, it's clearly like now below it. Like even though the MCU is terrible right now, terrible. It's not in a healthy position. Let's say that.
Fair.
That Star Wars is clearly not in a healthy position either. I think that Kathleen Kennedy is most certainly a contributor, but she's not the cause. You know, she's really just like a conduit to whatever Disney decides to do. That's my opinion on it.
Your MCU thing, I think back in the day before obviously all of this, Star Wars was held as like a event sort of film, you know, like it was quite rare that we saw a Star Wars film. You know, we got the first three and then 2-3 decades, if that, and then we got the obviously episodes 1 to 3, and then I think 10 years after that we got the next one, which worked fine because obviously each thing generated its own hype, even though that the episodes 1 to 3 for Phantom Menace wasn't as good, well received, but like the hype to that was insane, and then the hype to Force Awakens was insane, and then once that was successful, obviously they went into this, okay, cool. Everyone loves Star Wars again, you know? Like, let's do this spin-off movie, this spin-off movie. Okay, cool. They generated decent amount of money, but, you know, critically unreceived, but we still have episode 8. 8? Yes, 8. And then that was like mid, but still made a lot of money, and they're like, okay, cool. Disney Plus is now here. You know what? Another platform. Boom, boom, boom. So they essentially oversaturated the market with Star Wars, where Star Wars should have been a event. I don't think series should have been introduced. I mean, I know we got Mandalorian out of that, and that was really cool. But I think that could have probably been done in a movie, like a 3-part movie. Between the entire series.
I think it could have been a trilogy. It's a great point.
And we got the movie coming out next year about it.
Exactly. So I think it could have easily just been done a movie, and you could have told the entire story off that. Ahsoka, no one cares, well, except for the hardcore fan base. In terms of the actual character, not the thing. No one cares about the acolyte or
in the grand scheme, I think you're 100% right. In the grand scheme of things, no one cares about Ahsoka. In terms of people who watched the Clone Wars television series, they care, and Rebels, they care.
I think that is probably where Star Wars peaks, you know, the best, is that they give the general and hardcore audiences these movies on the big screen, and then the real nerds that are really, really into Star Wars and stuff, you know, you got the stuff like Rebels and Clone Wars in the animation form, you know, where it doesn't really tie into the movies. But it's still canon.
It's like a spin-off thing.
And it's still within the comics and stuff like that, where, you know, it appeases them, and they're all well received. So I think that way it worked. But in regards to this, where it's like you have to watch it to understand this and this, because characters pop up here and there, it's bad. In regards to the actual point of the podcast topic, I think I agree with Kine. I don't think she was a problem. I mean, she obviously had some creative decisions. Don't know what her decisions were during the third saga. What's it called? Is there a saga?
The Skywalker saga?
No, the third part, just the sequel trilogy.
Yeah.
The sequel trilogy, I don't think that she had that much influence in it, but I think it was mainly Disney. But I agree with you, Kine, that I think Disney is the problem here. I mean, I think they saw that Force Awakens work so well, and then they just decided to get their hands in the mud and, you know, start milking that cow.
I think it's too easy to say Kathleen Kennedy is the problem. I mean, it's the cop-out answer, and it's like, actually, when you look across all of Disney, you see such a consistent behavioral process that it can't be her. 100%. It can't be her.
So, a quick yes or no question for you guys. In terms of the this situation here. Star Wars can't be like the MCU. They're just fundamentally different.
Yes.
Could a genius pull this off in terms of making Star Wars the MCU like in terms of the content and the rate of content at a high quality?
Yes, a genius could pull this off.
So Star Wars can be great.
Yes.
But
It's not Disney then, correct?
no, but they need the backing from Disney because at the end of the day, Disney is the one that takes
Disney
this
will
one.
Disney
If
will
Disney
greenlight
makes
it if someone who knows what they're doing comes in and can form all of this together and is on the right projects, like aligning everything where it needs to be, greenlighting the right thing so there's connectivity, it makes money, and people are invested in it. So, like, if it can work, it's not Disney.
Well, the problem is that we don't fully understand how that process works, right? For example, we know that Feige has a major, and I don't mean just major in a light term. I mean an almost authoritarian level of control over the MCU.
That's true, yeah.
Right? So
that's where I was
his
going,
touch is everything. To the level where it's like, okay, you could say that his decisions affect all of Disney.
Yeah.
They really affect they ripple out and they affect all of what Disney decides to do. So it's one of those things where it's like, well, okay, you could say you bring in a director and you say, okay, you have full creative control. It's like, well, what does that mean? What does full creative control actually mean? Does that mean full creative control within the scope of what Feige wants, or within what Disney wants, or within what is like known within the industry that is successful, or with what the actual director wants?
Yeah.
And it's hard to really define that because we actually don't fully know what those conditions are under Disney.
Yeah, no, I mean, I 100% agree. And that's kind of where I was going with the point. Like, it's like you guys are saying that it's Disney's fault, it's not Kathleen Kennedy's. And, you know, we've established that, you know, it can be like the MCU if someone was capable to come in and do it. But we don't know the relationship between Disney and this. Kevin Feige's earned the trust of Disney where he can kind of do whatever he wants. But Kathleen Kennedy, she's probably under a lot of pressure from, you know, the heads of Disney. So maybe that's influenced things a little bit. So, like you said, we don't know. I can't really say it either. So
The other thing about Kevin Feige is that the MCU was never always under Disney. I think the first Iron Man, Hulk, and then maybe the second Iron Man was under Universal or something, and they saw it was successful.
Universal?
Yeah, and then they bought MCU, and that's
I
when
think
it went
Iron
to
Man
them.
was under Marvel. I think that Hulk was under.
Hulk was under Universal.
Sorry, Iron Man was under Marvel. Hulk was under Universal.
yeah.
And then Disney brought Marvel.
Yes,
Marvel, yeah.
And then-
Disney bought Marvel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think they sort of saw, they were like, okay, Feige has a vision based on those one.
Well, Feige's been working across Marvel beyond the scope of Disney. So he's been in it since like the early Spider-Man movies. So, I mean, I think there is someone more capable than Kathleen Kennedy to come in and turn this franchise around to a place where we want it to be at.
If we're talking about specifically the genius aspect, I think that there is a genius that can come in and change Star Wars.
Let me just throw some names that I've heard.
Okay.
I've heard Kevin Feige, Dave Filoni, and Jon Favreau. In favor or not in favor of those three, just state it out.
Not in favor.
None of them?
No, because they're already doing it.
Well, not Kevin Feige, not in Star
Kevin
Wars.
Feige's not even in Star Wars.
Okay, sure.
If he was to move.
Sure, but I don't think you're going to get what you want out of Star Wars. I mean, this whole time we've talked about how Star Wars is different from the MCU and how it should be different and it should feel different. I don't think bringing Kevin Feige in is a good idea. I think that that's the antithesis of what we want. I think what we want from the MCU is something fundamentally different that feels different. Kevin, and I think that Dave Filoni and
Jon Favreau.
Jon Favreau are the status quo so far. They're
So
the status quo.
If they were
And that's
announced,
okay.
would you be alright with that?
I'm okay with it
Yeah.
because I think that so far they've done all right with the Mandalorian and Ahsoka and the Book of Boba Fett. As much as I did not like the Book of Boba Fett, I think that at the very least it's not the worst thing I've ever seen. It's just Yeah, and they clearly very much care about Star Wars.
Yeah.
You know, as many fans have iterated upon, they've said, you know, Dave Filoni is the king of Star Wars. But the reality is that, you know, someone who loves a specific genre is not necessarily always the best person to adapt it. You know, it's like, you know, there are some people who come in who are masters of the craft, and they're significantly better. You know?
Christopher Nolan and the Batman.
Yeah, Christopher Nolan, the Batman, you know, situations like that. It's like, yeah, like as if Christopher Nolan knows every single Batman comic. You know, he doesn't. He doesn't. But he came and he created his own version of it, and it was the best version.
Yeah. All right, Nan. What do you think? Dave Filoni, Jon Favreau, Kevin Feige. What were your thoughts on them if they were to take up the mantle that Kathleen Kennedy has?
I wouldn't mind it. I mean, obviously Filoni and Favreau will be the directors with Feige as the puppeteer. But as long as Feige can understand that, you know, the movies are event films, and then you can have sub stuff which just appeases to the hardcore fans and, you know, the casual ones that just want to watch it if they think it's interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, stuff like that. It doesn't need to connect in any way. It doesn't need to be as frequent per year in terms of the content as well. I think it could work. There are probably better people out there for this. I don't know anyone off the top of my head at the moment to counter what I'm saying, but I wouldn't be mad about Kevin Feige. It's like James Gunn in DC. I'll be like, oh, I want to see what he wants to do, and I know we're going to touch upon it, but soon. But it's like, oh, okay, one film fails doesn't mean that's all gloom and doom for the rest of the franchise. You know, like I will give them a chance for at least 5 products, and then you know go from there.
Yeah, honestly, I will go back to my kind of like point that I always say with this kind of stuff, whether it's, you know, Marvel or Star Wars, doesn't belong on Disney Plus. Can we stop the TV shows about franchises? We just need to stop because I think they actually destroy these kind of franchises, and we've seen it. Every franchise that has gone from film to TV has gone down in reputation.
It's a good point.
Yeah. But speaking of something that might go down in reputation, James Bond IP. Nan is having a really bad day with us here. I'm so sorry, Nan, but Amazon, they've gained full control over the James Bond IP, which is funny. You know, I remember us. We were on holiday together like a couple of months ago. We were talking about some news that had come up, and I think
this was one of them.
Yeah, Barbara Broccoli. She was like, she's told Amazon people right to their face that James Bond is not content, and to get rid of any ideas of, you know, spin-offs, TV shows, whatever it may be. So Nan, now that Amazon actually has full control, she's given it up. Where do you see the franchise going?
Downhill is where I see it, crashing and burning. I just know exactly what Amazon's going to do. They have this property that is popular, and they're going to spin a lot of franchise mini films, TV series out of it when the property is just James Bond. You can't do any side things, anything about it. It's just James Bond. No one cares about 001. Everyone cares about 007. So just leave it alone. No one cares about a female Bond or anything like that. If you want a female Bond, create another character that is like James Bond and make her own. You know,
Spin off.
I said a different character. I said a different character. I think when the news first came out, and when what's her name, Broccoli, Barbara Broccoli.
Yeah.
Broccoli.
Sure.
Like the vegetable.
Oh, okay. Yeah, when that news first came out, I respected her decision. I was like, yes, she knows, you know, the franchise. She knows that it's made for films, which I do agree. James Bond is made for the films. And you can't have spin-off stuff because what would you spin off on? No one cares about Q or M.
Yeah.
Literally, it's 007. And now I think the reason why she's given I think it's the trust of the creator. I think they've forgotten his name, Stephen Fleming.
Yeah.
I think the reason why Amazon has it now is because they just can't, or them can't be bothered being in this sort of argument with Amazon. So they're just like, okay, here you go. pay us X amount of money to do whatever you want now because I just can't be bothered anymore. I think that's what has happened here. And now Amazon, like, yes, we win at the end of the day, you know. It's more money for Jeff Bezos, even though he doesn't need any more, but they're just going to ruin an iconic character, an iconic franchise. So I'm not that all excited for it at all in terms of whatever it comes out. I'll watch it just to see if I can be proven wrong.
Yep.
And I'll obviously watch any James Bond movie because I do love James Bond so much. But in terms of the spin-off stuff, I'll give it a go. And if I don't like it, I just won't be bothered.
Yeah.
I think this is almost like a polar reaction to what I was saying before with Kathleen Kennedy, but I think that I can say not everything that a studio gains control of ends up being bad. Not everything a studio gains control of ends up being good. It's one of those things where it comes down to the creator themselves, you know, whoever's actually running it, you know, the team behind it as well, and whether or not the parent studio, in this case Amazon, grants them that control. I don't think Amazon will necessarily gain or create something that is worthwhile throughout this, but I think that we don't know until we know. We don't know until we know who the director is, the writer is. We don't know until we know. You know, for all we know, we could have someone come in who's really unexpected and we're excited about that's directing this, you know. Total stupid example, and, you know, I'm not saying this will happen or anything, but it's a stupid example. But, you know, imagine for a moment, like, Jordan Peele came in and it was announced he was directing it and doing it, and you'd be like, what? But you'd be like, I'm kind of intrigued, you know?
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where you just don't know until you know. I'm reticent to critique something that I don't have all the details on. And I think that it's easy to do in the Kathleen Kennedy case because there's a big history behind it, but it's hard to do in this case because we just don't have that context. We don't have the context yet, and we'll look and see what Amazon is cooking up.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I disagree because I really think they're going to, like, you know, just milk this and dry the tit completely because this is Amazon's most lucrative property now. They're going to be like, oh, we got rights to, like, one of the biggest IPs in the world. Let's milk this to absolute death. And I think they're going to do it just because it's not sitting with a studio that has so much properties to work with already. It's like, that's Amazon's baby now, pretty much, James Bond is going to be.
Yeah.
Like, what other properties does Amazon really have?
Besides the boys. Oh, they have Lord of the Rings? Or is that just... No.
They just have
How does
television
that
rights?
as a television rights, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
no, because
yeah.
Warner Brothers has the
Yeah.
film rights, yeah.
Yeah.
So they're going to go all out on this one. But, I mean, yeah, Klein does make the valid point, I guess. They do bring in creators. One creator I don't think they're going to be bringing in is Christopher Nolan, though, because Christopher Nolan wanted to direct a James Bond movie after Tenet back in 2020. But Barbara Broccoli said that no director is going to get a say on the final cut of the movie. So obviously he declined that. He went on to make Oppenheimer, a near $1 billion movie, won Best Picture and a ton of other awards as well. So did Amazon make a mistake here?
Okay. Who is Broccoli?
Oh, not Amazon, sorry. Like, no, did, I guess, yeah, Barbara Broccoli, does she make a mistake?
I think she did. I think whenever it comes to a James Bond film and who is going to be directing, I think Christopher Nolan's always at the top of the list. Even when, after the Daniel Craig saga finished, everyone wanted Nolan to be part of it.
Yeah.
I know this is a bit before that, which is fine. And I guess now the doors are open for him to come in to direct one and give him creative freedom.
Direct a TV show.
God, I hope not. No, absolutely not. Definitely not. Although he probably could do it, and he could probably do it in a good way.
He can do anything.
Yeah, he can. Absolutely anything but horror.
We've seen what happens when real directors come in and they like co-produce or co-direct
Yeah.
television. Like you get Band of Brothers and you get The Pacific from Steven Spielberg, just some of the greatest series of all time.
Yeah, but in regards to this, after Tenet, I think that would have been Probably No Time to Die.
Around that time, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, No Time to Die was still good in my opinion. It could have been a lot better, but it was a satisfying end for Daniel Craig's James Bond. But I think Christopher Nolan probably could have made it a lot better if he was given a lot of freedom. And Barbara Broccoli is probably stupid for saying no to Christopher Nolan that you can't have creative freedom considering his history.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, sure, Tenet may have been a blip, but, you know, Inception, Interstellar, and Dunkirk, and the Dark Knight trilogy was all of his previous works before that. Like, how can you just not look at that resume and be like, okay, yes, you are literally worth it, and we can get it in proper IMAX, you know, and stuff like that. So I think that was a big L on Broccoli's part, but I think the door is now fully open for Nolan to just come back and be like, you know what, I want to do a James Bond after the Odyssey or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I agree with Nan here. I think that ultimately Christopher Nolan would have produced something that is $1 billion and over, and it would have been a guaranteed $1 billion, particularly for a James Bond franchise.
Yeah.
Why they decided to do that, I have no idea, because I'd assume that anyone in their position would understand what Christopher Nolan is capable of and why he would be such a great director for this, but I don't know. It's a difficult thing. I don't fully understand the scope of why he was not chosen. You know, it may have been other reasons. You know, they may have contractual agreements with the family of the owner of James Bond.
Yeah.
That they weren't allowed to do that. But yeah, I don't know. It's hard. I really wish Nolan had come in and directed it, but you know, it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's like Nan said, there is now potential for Nolan to come in. I think No Time to Die, I think that was excellent, man. I honestly, like, controversially, I think it's the best, like, Daniel Craig James Bond there is.
No, it's
Wow.
Yeah, people argue that, yeah, and, like, Casino Royale is not it. But
I agree with you on that. Skyfall.
Oh, Skyfall? Yeah.
Skyfall's the best one.
Yeah, but I really love No Time to Die. I think the finality of it all really
Yeah.
shocked me because I didn't think they would do that with him. And it's, I don't know, it kind of hit me really, really well. But yeah, those timings wouldn't have aligned with what Nolan was doing anyway, but Nolan coming in and restarting Bond, that would be exciting. You know, establishing something new. And, you know, maybe Barbara Broccoli, I think she might be on the kind of a extremist side in terms of, you know, James Bond isn't content, and, you know, I will have the final say on everything James Bond. That might be a little bit too extreme for this kind of franchise. Hopefully, I mean, just on what Kyan said before, that Amazon actually, they bring in the creators that actually kind of shock us and like make us excited for whatever James Bond is going to do.
Yeah.
And whether that's Nolan, whether that's
Jordan Peele.
Jordan Peele. Jordan Peele's not going to be one.
Random example ever.
Yeah, but no, it does. I think Amazon coming in does allow the possibility of it happening. But yeah, I really wish
Well,
this kind
we
of
have
did
to
happen.
understand, because the problem is that Amazon is such a young studio and we don't actually understand what they're capable of. We know that they're able to produce shows like The Boys, which is highly controversial for that matter, and, you know, very, very like out there. And then they're also able to produce, you know, The Rings of Power, which, you know, in fairness, it has a mixed reputation.
Bad.
But, well, you've not seen it, so
I have. I've seen an episode or two.
so you haven't seen it.
I didn't want to continue.
So, I think that it's almost anyone's game. We don't fully know. We don't know if this is going to be a studio-controlled sort of situation, or we don't know if they're going to try and give it to someone who they think can do something with it. Yeah.
I really hope it's a case where they understand the property that they've got and they are going to put it in the hands of people that are capable of making great stuff.
I absolutely hope so too.
Sorry, I think that's the intention of any studio. I think that the problem is, I think the problem is that people's idea of what success is different.
But like, okay, like who's the director of The Acolyte or the showrunner in this case?
I've not seen The Acolyte, and I don't know.
Yeah,
who
exactly.
that is.
Like if anyone that can produce something great has a reputation behind them, and therefore we kind of know the name, being in this kind of industry and
Well,
stuff.
I don't think that's. I mean, I don't think that's necessarily true. I think that people can become great, and they require to make a name for themselves.
Yeah, but
right?
that's the risk that someone's been
Yes.
taken on. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
but-
like proven greatness coming onto a TV show or film straight away, we recognize that. I think that's the difference here.
Yeah.
Like Amazon can't bring in someone that might be great into a show because there's a lot of like fluctuation on whether it's going to be good or not. But if they bring in someone that has proven to be great almost every single time,
But that is
That's
so rare.
that's reliability.
You have like maybe a handful of directors who are capable of doing that. You know,
That
you've
is
got like
true.
Spielberg, you've got Nolan, you've got Denis, you've got maybe a few others.
He's only on sci-fi. He doesn't know real world stuff.
but yeah,
But you know we've got
it's
we've
a
got these
rare
directors
rare bunch of people.
who are hyper consistent to the level that you know whatever you're going to watch is going to be good. You just can't get that out of creators, and you can't expect that out of creators. It's like the people who did Succession, who are also, as another topic of today, is who are doing the Harry Potter TV show.
One of the
You know,
people. Yeah.
You know that doesn't necessarily translate to a great show. In the same way that like just because someone who's a master of one thing doesn't necessarily mean they do the next thing is going to be a masterpiece.
I guess it's the likeliness of it all.
Yeah, it's the likeliness, but again, it's really odds. And I've always said this, but at the end of the day, films are like high stakes gambling with art. That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's high stakes gambling with art. You're putting hundreds of millions of dollars down on art that will produce you money.
But it's calculated, and I think you can calculate it.
You can try to.
You can. I think you put Nolan in an MCU movie in, boom, $2 billion perhaps. Anyway,
Maybe not 2 billion, but 1.5 maybe.
what if he directs an Avengers movie? Oh, $3 billion.
3 billion.
Okay,
I don't know.
We're going to move on now to an interesting one in terms of box office, perhaps box office if we want to call it that. But cinemas, they are threatening to boycott Greta Gerwig and Netflix's Narnia movie and not show on the IMAX screens that it's going to release in next year at Thanksgiving time, which is end of November. And IMAX say they have a nuclear option if they refuse, so they're going to bomb the IMAX screenings, supposedly. Nuclear option. Blow it up.
So IMAX is backing the cinema's decision of not releasing it.
Yeah, so Netflix and IMAX have come to a deal where I think the Greta Gerwig's Narnia movie is going to have a 2-week exclusive window just in IMAX movies. And studios, Disney, Universal, all that kind of stuff, alongside their movie cinemas in America, which would be like Regal, AMC, Cinemax, I believe is one, they are heavily against this. They feel betrayed because those studios and those theaters, the studios actually make movies for IMAX and they make movies for the cinema, essentially. But Netflix is where it gets interesting because Netflix are streaming first, theatrical second. So this is where this whole dispute's come from. And you're getting to a point where cinemas are like, we're not even going to play it. Like fuck the agreement that we had between us. Like, nah, I'm not playing it. I'm going to play this, like the studios that are actually like dedicated to making stuff for us. So it's getting really interesting now. I don't know what IMAX hasn't played. They said nuclear option. Who knows what that means, but...
I back the cinemas. Yeah.
Pardon?
I back the cinemas fully. Yeah. If
So you're on the cinema and studio side of this?
Yep. Yeah. If Greta Gerwig wanted to direct this and go to a studio, she easily could have. But she went to Netflix, and everyone knows Netflix is just pure streaming.
Sorry. Is that... I don't even know this, but is that the rights of the Narnia property being with Netflix or the her decision to go...
I have no idea. Okay, then I'll rephrase that to either Greta Gerwig or Netflix. There we go. Cover both bases. Everyone knows that Netflix is streaming. I can't remember off the top of my head if any of their films have been in cinema first before the streaming platform. And we all know that Glass Onion and stuff like that probably should be in that sort of format. And something like Chronicles of Narnia that has a potential, well, it has in the past had that potential of being in the big screen, and it worked
Yep.
for some of the movies. And obviously with Greta Gerwig, she is a very capable filmmaker for films in the cinema. So yeah, I can get behind this. Like, why should studios who are, 2026, you said, Thanksgiving,
Yep.
that are making films for moviegoers to watch in the cinemas, pay their money to go watch something in IMAX and something like that, just for them to be like, no, actually you have to wait 2 weeks because we have this film that's on Netflix that is available to everyone, but they can just come here and watch on the big screen, Like,
Yeah.
nah. I agree with the cinemas on this stage. Like, it's one or the other.
Yeah, I mean, to add more context to this, there's a Marvel Studios film coming at the start of the November period. Then you got the new Hunger Games movie on the 20th November, and then at the same time as the Narnia movie is an untitled animation movie from Disney. It's kind of like where their Frozen 3 sits, Moana 2, all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, Sorry.
Yeah. No. I was just gonna read back on my point.
Right.
Off that.
Yeah. Kind of, where do you stand on this? IMAX, Netflix's side, or kind of where the studios, and what do you see?
The only kind of note that I have is really that what I can imagine that IMAX's nuclear option is really the only option they do have that is nuclear, and that's
Oppenheimer. Sorry.
terrible. Stop.
It's not. It's good.
No, it's that IMAX will decide to no longer screen any movies ever again from streaming services or from Netflix in cinemas.
Ooh.
That's a nuclear option.
Oh, that would be.
That's a
spicy.
full-on nuclear option.
But that would be against who they're kind of siding with in this situation.
Well, the whole siding of them is that we want the exclusivity for X amount of time. You're not giving it to us, so fuck you.
Yeah.
You're not getting any of it ever.
So, in your case, do you kind of agree with where studios and cinemas are coming from?
I agree with both. I understand both sides. I don't agree with any of them, but I understand both of them.
Right.
Like, for example, like, technically Netflix doesn't need IMAX. They don't need them. They can produce these Narnia films on Netflix and they can do well.
Yeah.
And they can make all their money back through retention and subscribers. But IMAX is not in the same situation. They need movies to come out, and they need big ones to come out.
They will have that.
Yeah. I don't think Narnia will necessarily make, absurd quantities of money.
Yeah.
Because most Netflix films do not. But I think that it can make some money.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I mean, just be thankful that it's 2 weeks exclusivity for IMAX for Narnia, because Doom Messiah comes out the week after that, and Ice Age 6 at the same time, and Shrek 5 the week after that. So 2026 is stacked as we know it. But I mean, I'm honestly on the side of the cinemas and the studios for this, just because, like, though the studios they make movies for the big screen. They make movies for IMAX. Netflix is only doing this because of Greta Gerwig. I follow the entire history of this thing here. Greta Gerwig was the one that pushed Netflix to make a theatrical thing for Narnia, because we know Greta Gerwig. She makes great movies. She wants things on the big screen, and she is.
So it was
a
Greta
connoisseur for
Gerwig that went to Netflix.
Pardon?
It was Gerwig that went to
Yeah,
Netflix.
sorry. I mean, I looked that up since we've been talking. Netflix does own the rights to Narnia, so
okay.
I think she just has like a kind of like this is like a passion project for her. Yeah. So yeah, she wants this on the big screen, and she has gone to Netflix about it, and there were big conversations about it, but it does take away from whatever Disney wants to do with the animated movie. I don't know what that's going to be, and the Hunger Games as well, but I understand though that side of it feeling betrayed, because they make things for IMAX. They benefit IMAX more than whatever Netflix or other streaming services do. So yeah, it's going to be
tricky because
be
again,
interesting.
at the same time, it's like Netflix doesn't owe the cinema industry anything.
It does. It owes them everything. Without them, there's no business for them.
No, I mean is that their subscribers don't movies don't need to be released in cinemas for their subscribers to exist.
Oh, right. I mean, okay. And in that sense, sorry.
Yeah.
I fully misconstrued what you said. Greta Gerwig will not make a Narnia movie without that backing.
Okay, well, if that's a condition of hers in contract, then it's going to happen regardless.
In terms
it's
of
just whether or not it
theatrical
happens.
expansion?
Yeah, like it's just whether or not it happens in IMAX is the only point of contention.
Yeah.
Right? So, I mean, if that's in her contract, she's like, it must release in cinemas, it's going to release in cinemas.
Yeah.
It just may not release in IMAX.
Yeah.
But
I think she pushed for IMAX.
she pushes, yeah. Maybe that's not a condition, and it's just something she's pushing towards. Yeah.
Yeah. Quick yes or no before the next topic. Are we going to go see this in IMAX? Is this one for us?
Yes.
Yes, if it is released in IMAX.
Oh, here we go. They'll blow us up with their nuclear option. All right, we'll move on to the next topic now about the new Martin Scorsese project. So Emily Blunt, Leonardo DiCaprio have joined that. Also, The Rock expanding his range, I guess you want to call it, joining a Martin Scorsese project. The film is about a Hawaiian mob boss in the 1960s and 70s, which I know it's not going to be Blunt or Leonardo DiCaprio in this case. It's going to be The Rock playing that, main figure in this. The Rock is starring in The Smash Machine. That's directed by Benny Safdie, A24 studio film. He's trying to expand his range into really kind of unique cinema here. Any thoughts on the trajectory of The Rock's role here and kind of just this project in general?
Yeah, on The Rock, absolutely brilliant. He is moving away from that, that tough guy action sort of character where it just became so bland and generic, and where he's been generating that, $88 million paycheck in 2024. So it's nice to see him actually wanting to, push his range and push his boundaries as, his job and his character and him as an actor. So obviously him and Smash Machine is going to be the first test.
Yep.
I still believe the only time I've really seen Rock really dive away from action is in The Good Iron Gang, which I think he did pretty good in, even though it may have been a hit or miss film.
Yeah.
So I think Smashing Machine will be the next one where we could see his range, and if he's great in that, he's going under one of the best directors of all time. Let's be real here. Martin Scorsese will be able to push elements to his acting capabilities even further than what Benny Safdie can. So I think this is just a win-win for The Rock, Leonardo DiCaprio, Life, Death, Taxes, Martin Scorsese and Leonardo DiCaprio being in a movie together,
Yeah.
Add in Emily Blunt as well. I think we have a good film here, and I'm just really excited to see what Scorsese can do with The Rock. I think that is my main intrigue from this. I've seen a lot of films with Scorsese and Leonardo that I just know what to expect, but I don't know what to expect from The Rock in a serious film. So that is probably my main intrigue for this project.
It's a perfect answer. Kind of go to you now. What do you think?
I think that it's going to come down to the actor. In this situation, we've seen, I would say, what you would call low-line actors go into Scorsese films before, and it's not always ended well. I think that, and a specific example of that is Cameron Diaz in Gangs of New York. It's an appalling performance, quite frankly. And, she's having a revival. Well, she's said to be having an almost Demi Moore kind of revival recently where she's going to be in some big films or A24 films. But she had a shot at a Scorsese film and completely blundered it. I think that there is a good chance that The Rock absolutely blows us away or absolutely makes the crowd go mild. It's going to come down to the actor and literally what they're willing to put in, because Scorsese only works with what you have. He'll mold you. He'll mold greatness. But if you don't have greatness, you won't get that out of the film.
Do you find the Benny Safdie movie is kind of like a precursor or kind of a taste test for Dwayne Johnson here to kind of mold his versatility and kind of as preparation to go into the Martin Scorsese movie to be a little bit better than what you may expect?
I think that The Rock already has that potential. I think he already has, and I don't mean to say that he has the potential to be one of the greats. I just mean to say that he has the potential to be a really impactful actor.
Yeah.
You can see in some instances he has the capability of range and producing something that's quite impactful.
Yeah.
So I do think that this will be an eye-opening experience for a lot of people where they go, oh shit, he can actually do these sort of like drama type narratives. And that will at least make people comfortable going into this next Scorsese film.
Yeah.
But Scorsese film versus a safety film is very different, right? It requires a whole level of specific kind of acting prowess that is different.
Yeah, I mean, I also don't want to underestimate the other actors in this, Emily Blunt, Leonardo DiCaprio. I think they will also prepare him or help prepare him for what it's like for Martin Scorsese movies in terms of getting prepared for the role. I think both of them will actually play a part in making him better on the film as well.
If he's willing to hear the advice, then yes.
Yeah, hopefully it's not the other way around.
He has a huge ego. So.
Yeah. But if The Rock can turn things around in this way with the Smashing Machine, with this Martin Scorsese film, and he actually transitions his career from the
Action, kitty stuff.
that make a lot of money in terms of like Oscar worthy stuff. Maybe one of the best careers in history, honestly. Like in terms of entertainment purposes. Yeah. Really great stuff from him.
Huge transition.
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah, it's going to be hard for him to pull it off. All right, we're going to go back, circle back to what we were talking about before with the Nay curse. Superman is upon us now as well.
How is that a Nay curse?
No, because you are the biggest supporter of Superman.
What?
Yeah, no, you had it the highest. I'm pretty sure you did. And also your DC, like Superman.
Bro,
DC.
fuck you, cunt.
No, I mean like
that's a stretch. I think this one's a stretch.
he had it the highest, right?
I genuinely don't remember.
You wouldn't have it higher than him. I had it low.
I can't remember either. I may have had it in like the top 5, maybe.
You forgot Mission Impossible, so your list isn't even real.
This is... Oh, okay. Oh, who cares? Carry on. Hurry up.
This is this year. And
Give me
you've got Mission Impossible for 2025. So this is Nan's first Nay Curse movie of 2025. It is Superman. So the reason why the DCU sucked was because Nan had it in most anticipated every single year. And he's done it again with the DCU.
I've only been in
all right.
I quit!
So, Superman, directed by James Gunn, that has had multiple test screenings. It's been described as pretty terrible. Had the first one, which is really bad, and then they redid it, had another one, and it was only slightly better, apparently. Apparently, Warner Brothers is getting pretty nervous about this one. So, Nayan, are you nervous, or do you just think it's kind of the test screening stuff that we have?
From what I read, it's Warner Brothers and DC Studios that are getting nervous. And I also think, take it with a grain of salt. You know, it's test screenings. We have seen it multiple times in the past for test screenings where films have been shown and positive stuff has come out, e.g. The Flash, and look how that turned out, fucking trash. So this could be it could be the wrong audience, you know, people were expecting something. It could be like a cinema full of old people, you know, and they don't know what's, you know, Superman is, or they should because they're that old, but they don't understand it. So, or like, you know, it's not for them. So I think test screenings isn't the way to go in regards to judging how good a film is or isn't, because there's been so many times in the past where, like I said before, you know, a film has been shown and there's been huge praises and then the final product comes out and it's just garbage. So I think it's more of like they need to do a studio screening or something for both DC and Warner Brothers just to see if they're on the same page, just to see if they do like it and if they do think it is successful.
Yeah.
And then if they believe they have a good product in them compared to what the test screen is, then just roll with it. And I know that contradicts one of my earlier points in regards to have studios having too much control like Disney, but I think...
Tonight's full of contradictions.
Yeah, but when you have like something like a test screening versus studio screening, it's completely different, because test screenings, like, you get sent a ticket or you get told that you're going to go see a film, but you don't know what the film is, and that people that rock up to that is just completely wide ranged, you know, like Superman could just, or comic books could be someone that's not into comic book superheroes, Superman could go see could walk into this film and we could have a...
But everyone knows what a good movie is versus what a bad movie is. You see that on audience scores. When an audience votes bad on Rotten Tomatoes, it's always very shit.
That's true, but that's people that's paid money to go see those films, not people that have just gone to see
So
a
you
blind
think
film.
the monetary side of it actually influences the decision making in terms of whether it's a good or bad movie?
Not really.
Wait.
It's because people are paying money to see this film. This film here, the test screenings, they don't know what they're seeing. Or at least that's how I stand it. They are going to see, they've been told that they're going to go see a movie, but they don't know what it is. And then the movie plays.
True. I don't know the secrecy level in terms of the test screenings here, but
I'm just going
that's
based
the
off
grain
what
of
I
salt
assume.
part for me. Yeah.
Yeah, but with the audience score, they're paying money to see Superman.
Yeah.
So they're judging it based off Superman. We're test screening, they're just either paying money or getting given tickets to go see a movie that they don't know what they're going to see until it starts.
Yeah.
I follow the same doctrine I always have, and that's ignore test screenings completely and look at the writer, director, and the creators.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, like, it doesn't matter what property it is. When James Gunn touches it, no matter how big or small, he tends to turn it into gold.
Yeah.
And so in this instance, you can assume the same. It may not be the Superman that everyone is expecting. That's about as far as I can go with it in terms of critique.
Yeah.
But I think that it will be a good movie. At the very least, it will at least be an entertaining and good movie. It may not be the right Superman movie that everyone wants, and I think no matter what you do, people will compare it to Snyder's Cavill creation.
Yeah.
But I think that, James Gunn knows what he's doing. He's a fantastic writer, and he's as good of a writer as he is a director.
Yeah. I'm not going to lie, I'm pretty nervous about this. I watched the first trailer and I wasn't immediately hooked. I know a lot of people really loved it, but I just kind of felt, I don't know, I didn't feel like too 100% certain on this one. And we can raise all the praise about James Gunn. I completely agree with that. But Superman is much different to the Guardians of the Galaxy characters. Superman is one of the hardest superheroes in film history to get right. It takes a lot to get him right in a film, and we've seen this in every movie that he's been in. Superman, that is. And so it does worry me a little bit. It doesn't worry me about the DCU in the future, but it does worry me about this movie. Considering it came from multiple test screenings, not just one, but two. So I don't know if it's actually going to be, if it's actually going to equate to anything. And
The test screenings?
yeah, I don't know if it actually equates to actually a bad movie.
They're honestly, more often than not, relatively unreliable, indicators.
I mean, Captain America: Brave New World, well, it got bad test screenings, and that movie was bad as well. Most of them actually turned out to be right in terms of test screenings and what would the report that we actually get from it. James Gunn is built different in that sense.
Yeah, but I mean,
It's the reactions that are different to the thing. Captain America: Brave New World reactions were great, but the movie was not great, and we see that reflected now.
Yeah, but what I mean is that Captain America: Brave New World is not great, but it's not atrocious to the point that it's like, what is this piece of trash sort of thing. It's like one of those movies you watch, you're like, that was like so middling.
It's top 5 worst MCU. I'll say that much. In my opinion. And also it's below 50% on Rotten Tomatoes. So it's one of the lowest, if not the lowest MCU movie on Rotten
But
Tomatoes.
that's becoming a trend with the recent movies.
Because Eternal's like 47.
Oh, yeah, okay. It's second worst, lowest MCU ever. And
What about Ant-Man?
huh?
Quantumania?
No, I think it was positive.
Unfortunately, it's, I think,
50 something maybe, yeah.
50?
Yeah.
That's not positive.
But test screenings are very different to reactions. I think test screenings do actually say something about a film. My difference here is I think James Gunn is smart enough to know to change things in accordance to this. And I think having a general audience that don't know what they're seeing is better than having someone that's built for Superman. Because you want the movie to appeal to general audiences. You don't want the movie to appeal to just Superman fans only. You want it to be a movie that everyone can go to. They can take their friends and family to it. So I think this is a good indicator, and I hope James Gunn is smart enough to actually change what needs to be changed or reshoot what needs to be reshot and make it a great film. I trust him to build and to do that. And, I'm not going to take flack on the podcast if it actually turns out to be a great movie, because we will have finished our 100th episode by then, so I am immune. I know these guys will roast me in private though.
We'll do a potty special just
No,
for
we're no, we're not going to.
We are absolutely going to do it.
No, we're not going to do it. All right, we're going to get onto our last quick fire, which feel like long fire questions right now. John Lithgow confirms he will be in the HBO reboot series of Harry Potter, playing Dumbledore. We heard about him being in final talks, and he confirmed himself apparently. Kyan, thoughts on him playing that role?
I love this choice. I love John Lithgow. I think that he is able to command a presence of both calmness and terror. I've seen him play a serial killer in Dexter, and he's horrifying, like in a good way. Like he scares the shit out of you.
But you like it.
Yeah, I like it. I like how much he scares me. He's able to be, and some people may be confused about that because you'd be like, well, why does that need to be what Dumbledore is? But that's kind of what he is in the books. If you're a book reader, he's, at least when he shows himself to Tom Riddle later on in the book, specifically Order of the Phoenix, he shows to be quite a conniving, cold person and calculated person. And particularly at the end, he's very calculated and cold, and he wants to see Voldemort suffer. He doesn't want to kill him. He wants him to suffer.
Yeah.
So he's a very kind of, he has a cold spark to him, which is what you want. You want to be able to have this old gingerly man who you think is so lovely and sweet, and John Lithgow can do that, and then you see this layer beneath him, and you go, oh, he's not what I thought he was. And I want to see that out of Dumbledore, and we didn't see that in the movies, if I'm being honest. So I'm happy with the choice. I know that there's going to be a lot of opinions regarding his age and him aging out of the role, and that's going to be a huge topic of discussion today, and as has been online. To me, I'm one of those people where I would rather them just stay authentic to it, give it a go, see how it works. If he, as cold as it sounds, if he dies, he dies.
Jesus.
You know,
he's going there.
Yeah, but like Lithgow has said this himself, and I'm sure if he was sitting here, he wouldn't be shy to say it as well. Like, I'm going to try my best to make it to then and do what I can, and it's my last chapter, and I'll see how far I get.
Yeah.
And that's the truth of it. He's going to have to we're just going to have to see how far he gets.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he's aged 79 years old now. Nan, he said that this is going to define kind of the last chapter of his life. He'll be about 87, he said, that when he's at the rap party. What do you feel about John Lithgow playing this role?
The thing is that I've only seen this guy besides Interstellar in comedic roles, like Daddy's
What
Home.
about Conclave? You just watched that.
Oh, yeah, okay, two things. But I've seen
did you say Interstellar?
Interstellar, yeah. He's in that.
Yeah.
Oh, right. He's the dad. He's the granddad. Yeah. He's such a minor role. I thought he was even in it.
We watched it in IMAX recently, right? Do not get angry.
But first of all, do not come at me at my third favorite film of all time. I'll bury you. So the main stuff I've seen him in is in that, Daddy's Home 1, 2.
Oh no!
and also that TV series, I think it was Third Rock from the Sun.
Correct. Yeah, but that was
Ages
pure
ago.
comedy.
You got Planet of the Apes.
Was he in that?
He's the dad in that, the dementia dad, or
Oh, I don't remember that.
That's true.
Oh, yes, I remember it now.
he's the same in every role.
Yeah, pretty much. I just remember in comedy, but I do see
Don't.
the potential in him. I think he has that voice
Yeah.
for a Dumbledore, that's calming and stuff, but then when he needs to get make his point and get aggressive or raise his tone, it will come across. So I think he is definitely the best choice out of the rumored people there have been by far.
I just don't think you know his range until you see him in Dexter when he's butt naked strangling a woman to death in a bathtub and crying and sobbing.
Well, that's one way to paint a picture right there. Yeah. I didn't even know that was even a thing.
Yeah, it's a next and FYI, his kill count on Dexter, he's a serial killer. It's over 200 or 300 people.
Oh,
Like he's in
Way too
Like
long.
you
serial
watch him
killer.
do that, or that's just part of the
That's
character?
That's part of the character.
Right.
Yeah, he's been a serial killer for like 40 or 50 years. Like at that point.
so yeah, I think he has the potential. I think the age thing, in my eyes, you sort of need an older actor to be Dumbledore. You can't really have like a 40 or 50-year-old.
You can't do it, otherwise
Yeah,
you've
'cause-
just got Jude Law.
I was about to make that point.
Sorry.
Yeah, I think it needs to be 65 to 70 range to be safe. He fits that. He's on that later end of 70, but yeah, if they can make the series back to back to back, I think he'll be fine.
Yeah.
If they have any gap at all, like Stranger Things level, I think you need to look at a backup. Because obviously he might
The
die.
backup being AI.
Yeah, that he might die by then. But
Yeah.
I don't mind it. I think there's potential in there.
What if I say that John Lithgow plays the role of Dumbledore older than both actors when they stopped playing Dumbledore?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Michael Gambon stopped when he was early 70s. Richard Harris died early 70s.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Do I think that there's...
And John Lithgow, like, this is a real risk. And it's not like, the stuff that we talk about. This is like life or death. This is real stuff. So we gotta factor it into the whole combination in terms of the casting here.
Well, it's good that he understands the assignment, like this
He knows.
This
yeah.
is not a one and done thing. It's a multi-year thing. And the fact that he knows that it's multi-years, that it's going to end when he's 85, I don't think he would have taken this on if he knew that, I don't think I can make it, or my health is not going to be like that. I mean, I understand, health can change instantaneously.
Yep.
But I think he knows his health. He knows that he might be living a healthy lifestyle at the moment,
Yeah.
That he feels confident in this.
You honestly, you just can't predict it.
Yeah.
It's a risk for sure, but I think it's a good risk.
I agree. I think it's a good risk.
I think it's a good risk to take because, not my first choice, absolutely not. But the more I think about it, the more I like it. I don't know whether it's the stuff that we've heard about before, whether it's Mike Rylance and definitely Mark Strong. My God, awful choice.
Terrible choice.
Mark Strong.
Can't even grow hair.
It was mind blowing, that one. But the more I think about it, the more I kind of like it, and the more I kind of trust what you're saying, Kyan, here with it's the dark side. I've never seen this side to John Lithgow roles before. I've seen the Planet of the Apes stuff, where he's kind of spaced out dad that forgets everything, or whether it's the the lovey-dovey dad of Daddy's Home 2. I haven't seen the side where he can actually be kind of ruthless. And I think Michael Gambon captured it fine in the Harry Potter series, but it's more about the balance. And I've seen him nail the other side of Dumbledore perfectly.
Yeah.
So if I can trust you in what you're saying there, then I can have full faith that John Lithgow is absolutely going to do justice to the role. If not, excel it. I don't know if he can. I don't know if it can be done.
What really interests me is where this moves the needle for you in terms of your feeling of the overall series.
I hate it. Get rid of it. Cancel it.
You still don't- you
no,
still hate
no,
the series?
absolutely not, bro. Like, look at where the castings are going. Yeah. Look at just the fact that it's happening in general. Like, if you are making another part of the Wizarding World, like let's say the American Harry Potter, whatever, then sure, I'll go for it. But you're recreating a property that just can't be done. I've always said this, and I've said this probably about 4 or 5 times in this entire podcast history, is that if you change too much, people will get angry. But if you don't change enough, people will be like, what's the point? Everyone gets angry at the end of the day. And I just don't believe this is a property that needs to be redone. So I fully stand by it. I have to see it. I have to see this to believe in it. Like, you can have Christopher Nolan be the director of every single episode. I hate it. I will continue hating it. I'm a bona fide hater of the series, and I will stand by it.
Even when it's 97%.
I don't care.
When's
No.
every
Than Breaking Bad.
when's every Emmy available to it?
No,
I refuse to watch it.
no. I will watch it.
Yeah.
The first season. We'll see where things go. Okay, going to our last quick long fire question. That is I just really want quick thoughts here, guys. Pixar's brainstorming Inside Out 3. We knew this would happen after the success of the second one. Sorry. Where do you want Inside Out 3 to go?
Yes, older teenage, 17 to 18-year-old Riley.
Yeah, well, we know, but like with the brain, the inside of the emotions, where do you want that to go?
Depression.
Depression.
Well, that's a key emotion, especially during that sort of age range. If they push up to 20, then sure, that's a really.
It's almost a guarantee.
Yeah. I mean, kids leave school like,
Anyone who
oh
reaches
shit.
20
yeah.
and over, you're guaranteed to get to depression.
Yeah, but no, jokes aside, it's like a serious, like, sort of emotion that can't be ignored.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, sure, it's a kid's film at the end of the day, but you can, like, have it something similar to sadness. Maybe a bit more aggressive than sadness, but, like, at the end of the day, like, joy can still come in and blah, blah, blah. So I think that is probably the emotion I would want to see. I think we've had a discussion about this in regards to how depression should be in Inside Out, because I think Inside Out is one of those series where it could include it in a not so traumatic way, but a way where it can get overcome by positivity.
Yeah.
Even though, yeah.
Yeah, I think I agree similarly to you. I think that there's a really strong feelings that have not yet been explored. For example, grief. For example, loss. A feeling of like permanency and death. I think as well probably the most pivotal one for moving from being a kid to being to someone who's an adult, at least, or from a teenager to an adult, is the sense of duty and responsibility you have, not just for yourself, but for others.
Yeah.
I think that that's a strong emotion, and it's probably the most important one when you become an adult.
How do you manifest that though? What's the emotion in that?
Yeah, it's really difficult.
Like,
really
is purpose be
difficult.
emotion?
Purpose, maybe. Yeah, but then you're moving into soul territory. So
Oh, imagine
it's...
they discover the soul, like they.
Wow, that
Oh
would
shit!
actually be
There's
great.
like soul, like operators, like.
The first, mashup movie from Pixar?
Yeah.
We're moving into some interesting territory now, but I think that there's a lot of like very bold emotions that have not yet been explored. I think depression is actually a really good one. However, again, that was explored a little bit, kind of somewhat in Soul with this no purpose, purposelessness.
That is purpose. Yeah.
Yeah, I
All
mean
about
that
purpose.
in a sense is depression. But I would say that you can definitely go with grief, and particularly if a parent dies, or if there's a breakup between Riley and a partner. I think that is a direction.
I reckon divorce would be great.
I think that's too old.
Yeah.
I think that
yeah.
you need a stopgap.
divorce at
Yeah.
Like she needs like a
I
boyfriend.
forgot she was a teen now, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think we like, maybe you're stretching too far there with grief and stuff like that. I mean, we haven't lost any close parents at our age, and we're like, late 20s, early 30s range now. So if we're going to do the 18 to 20-year-old, I don't think grief is not ready to be there yet, but perhaps heartbreak, love. I think I love the idea of having kind of twin emotions, optimism and pessimism. I think them being there in terms of like kind of the hope side and the nihilistic side of people when they kind of get older, like life's not worth living, and there's so much to look forward to and stuff like that. So I think there's so much like interesting emotions to explore there. But if we are going to do Inside Out 3, I think kind of joy needs to be stepped to the side. Amy Poehler's character it really needs to be a really mixed
I
bag.
don't think
there.
they will do that, but
They
I
won't do that.
agree.
They won't do that. Absolutely not, because like we've all grown up in like joy is not kind of the main control of our minds, at least now.
Certainly not.
Yeah, and
Depression.
it is not depression.
I mean,
it's just for
joy
name.
is a cameo appearance. Huh? Joy is a cameo appearance.
Yeah,
Joy is a
for sure.
regular occurrence in my. Yeah, she comes every episode for me.
Really?
Yeah, obviously.
Oh, you're
of
lucky.
course. Yeah. No, I just think like as you get older, it's just such a mixed bag of emotions, and obviously it's up to the person to how they handle it, how they control all that kind of stuff. But there's just so many emotions that kind of flow through one single day, and I think if Pixar really wants to be honest about this, and they actually want to go for it, they need to make sure that she steps aside, and that it's a collection of emotions working together to helping this person just navigate real world events, because like anyone over 18 listening to this right now, they know that it's a lot. There's a lot of ups and downs throughout the entire day, and yeah, that's all I have to really say about that one. But if Pixar can commit to doing whatever I just said, super exciting. I'm really down for that.
And I think Pixar is this year to do that.
Yeah.
Because they're not afraid to be like, okay, we're making a kids film, but we understand adults are there too.
Yeah.
Like they're really, really good at that compared to Illumination, where it's just trash.
Yeah.
Where it's made for the 5-year-olds.
And Shrek 5. But the podcast of Roasting Nan is going to come to an end now. These were meant to be quick fire topics we're meant to have because we were going to do our who will win, who could win, who should win for the Oscars. But we're actually going to record that right now, but we're going to make that a separate episode to this. It's not going to count towards our final to 100. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed all the topics that we talked about today. We talked about a lot. So if you have any thoughts, just be sure to comment on Spotify or message us on our social media platforms that we don't really check anymore because we are ending this entire thing.
And do not comment Name Curse is real.
The Nay Curse is real. Please comment Nay Curse is real, as he just said. But otherwise, you guys know what to do. Don't do anything at all. Just wait out for the next one. We'll be there. We're Movie Gains. Peace.
Bye-bye.
See ya.